Welcome to Real Success Stories. My name is John Wadsworth, president of Strawn & Company Insurance. I'll be your host as we bring you exciting content featuring exceptional individuals and organizations. Throughout my professional career, I've witnessed many talented people build successful businesses and significantly impact their communities. We will now have the opportunity to bring these stories to you. We have the privilege of speaking with business owners and highly successful individuals who are involved in a wide variety of industries. We will see success defined in many different ways. Our guests will share their stories of how they built their businesses to reveal strategies that you can duplicate in your endeavors. We'll get to experience the human side of success as we identify the challenges and obstacles that entrepreneurs endure. We will see the thin line that separates giving up from true success. Along the way, we'll have the opportunity to speak with nonprofit organizations that are creating opportunities for success in their communities. Another goal of this program is to give these great organizations broader exposure and awareness to help continue their success. As a listener, we hope you feel encouraged to support the organizations that we feature. Through this open and honest forum, we aim to build community and foster success among all who wish to pursue their dreams. You will hear real success stories of people just like you and me. Thanks for listening, and check back regularly for new episodes. Make it a great day. Hello, and welcome to this episode of Real Success Stories. I'm John Wadsworth, president of Strawn & Company Insurance, and I'll be your host as we have the opportunity to speak with a wide variety of guests as they tell their stories of success. Today, we're very excited to welcome Jake Carter with Southern Belle Farm here in McDonough. Jake, how you doing today?
Doing great, John. Thanks for having me. Looking forward to this.
Oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir. I have been too. You've got quite a well-known operation over there and a fun operation to talk about. So I think we're going to get to hear some good stuff from you today. You know, now first off, and normally I save this till towards the end, and we'll definitely mention it again. But for everybody who's listening, I tell you, check out Southern Belle's website. www.southernbellefarm.com. Belle is Belle. Remember the E in there. And there's a great section on the history of the farm. But Jake, I'd like, if you'd share a little bit about that, about the history of the farm and how y'all started and kind of how the operations changed over the years to what they are now.
Absolutely, John. I tell you, we just honored to be a part of this community for a long time, and I'm the fifth generation to have the opportunity to farm on that property known as Southern Belle Farm today. It was started back in 1938 by my great-grandfather. He was a sharecropper, which meant he traveled around this part of the country and would farm for other farmers for the share of that crop, mostly cotton and row crops. Back in 1938, he was able to save up enough money and was able to purchase, I believe it was about 30 or 40 acres of where our farm sits today. So at that time, he started that, and my grandfather was becoming of age and wanted to be involved in the operation, and then them two together teamed up along with my great-great-grandfather and started the dairy. So the dairy was started back then, and fast forward, as my dad graduated from the University of Georgia, back in the early 70s and got a master's degree in chemistry and decided that he wanted to come back and be a dairy farmer. So I think that just goes to show you that once you get farming in your blood, it's hard to get it out.
Yeah.
And he came back then and started the dairy and operated it for some time. And in 1986, when I was 6 years old, he sold out of the dairy, sold all the cows, but was able to keep the land. There were 200 acres at that time, and he was able to keep that and still did some farming there, did some commercial hay and had some beef cows. But that's sort of a quick snapshot of kind of where the farm was.
Mm-hmm.
But we're just, thankful to still be a part of this community.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And so, of course, you mentioned, your dad going off the University of Georgia and finishing up there in the late 70s. And then you kind of followed in those footsteps. You're a fellow Bulldog. And but then you came back. So did you already know when you left for Athens? Did you know you were coming back, or was that a decision that came to you later?
So at the time when I went to Athens, at that time it was 1999, and Henry County was on its way, if not at the time, becoming the fastest growing county in the nation. Our farm was, for lack of better words, on the chopping block for another subdivision. I mean, we had developers approaching us all day, every day, wanting the land to build houses on, and
Right.
it got to the point to where we said, we've got it. We sat around a table kind of like this right here, a Sunday dinner. My mama cooks Sunday dinner every Sunday. We go over there and we talk, and the conversation led to, what are we going to do? Are we going to sell this farm? Are we going to do something with it? And I'd always wanted to be a farmer.
Mm-hmm.
I grew up alongside my dad, my granddad, and just like it was in my dad's blood, my granddad's blood, it was in mine too. And that was something that I always wanted to do. And at the time, didn't know if that would be a possibility. So
Yeah.
we were able to, in 2006, start what would eventually become the agritourism portion of the farm.
Okay. Okay. So, what was it that kind of led you guys to say agritourism is the path, to maintaining our family presence here, to supporting our family, which really is supporting several families? What was the manifestation of that idea?
So I think at the time, in 05, 06, we, of course, at that time, it was just a rundown dairy. I mean, it was, weeds were growing up. It was just we had the silos there, a few original structures, but we started noticing a lot of people in this community asking us a lot of questions about agriculture. I mean, they were coming out saying, well, how does this grow? Or what is this crop? Or, about, cows or milk production. And we decided that, at the time we had the biggest, strongest locks on the gates that you can get. We don't want anybody on the farm, y'all don't trespass, right? So we decided that, this may be an opportunity for us to, cut those locks off, open the gates up. And, who knows, it may be, at the time we were thinking, it may be something that we could continue this farming legacy that my parents and grandparents have passed on. So that was really what started that conversation that led to why we started in 2006.
Okay. Okay. And then when you guys first opened in 06, what all were folks able to come and do at the property at that point in time?
So at that time, I think we did have a hayride, a little hayride. We started with a corn maze. That first year, we did, a little cow train, and we had, a few activities going on. We started off right off the bat with educational activities for their educational field trips for the kids. And we really knew we were onto something. And when the first group went in the dairy barn, my dad likes to tell the story where, he asked the question, where does milk come from? Of course, all the hands go up. The kids are just excited to answer it, right? And the answers coming out of their mouths were Kroger and Publix. So we really knew right then that we had an opportunity to do more than just invite people on the farm. We had an opportunity to educate. So.
Yeah. Wow. How about that? And so, for those of us that, are local to the area and, we drive by, we've seen the structural development of the property, over these last 15 years. So you guys have really expanded those operations. Of course, I think a lot of people are familiar with the opportunity to come and pick strawberries, when it's time for that. And what all's going on? What all kinds of opportunities do folks have to participate in when they come visit now?
John, one thing we try to focus on is, although we may be selling a bucket of strawberries or a walk through our corn maze, we try to really back down to our core is we know we want to sell an experience. If they're shooting a corn cannon or they're watching a pig race or they're picking peaches, having families come out and, spend time together, strengthening the family bond is something that, we always strive to do.
Well, you said something there that reminds me of a conversation I had with my wife just literally this past weekend. For those of you that are listening, we're recording this on a Tuesday evening. And just last weekend, my wife and I were talking about, when people go places now, when they recreate, when they go on vacation, whatever the case may be, fewer and fewer folks are just going to a place to go to a place. They're looking for an experience. And so you see so many folks, coming up with creative ideas on how to make an experience in a city, in a historical facility, or on a farm. So, from a business standpoint, you guys are hitting on what the public is looking for. And I think that's not just a local Henry County thought. That's really what people are looking to do now is so many folks go to their jobs every day, do the same thing day in and day out, routine. Well, if they can experience a little bit of what it's like to be on that farm, that really draws them in. So, I think that's, the design and implementation of what y'all are doing is really impressive. You've mentioned, your family and the history of the farm, and something that I found again on y'all's website that really struck a chord with me, and would like to, just hear your thoughts and what it means to you is y'all's mission statement. I'm going to read that if you don't mind. So from y'all's website, the Southern Belle Farm mission statement says, as good stewards, Southern Belle Farm strives to honor our God-given family heritage to create a wholesome atmosphere which strengthens family bonds within our communities and staff while educating the public about agriculture. Now, you've already hit on just about every piece of that mission statement as we're just barely into this conversation. So, number one, I think it fits, but, tell me about what that mission statement means to you and, just share some thoughts about it with us.
Yeah, I mean, I think the first word there, I mean, as good stewards, I mean, we try to be, although I constantly fail, but, as good stewards, we want to give back. We've been blessed with a lot, so we want to try to give back to the community. So the question is, how can we do that? And, opening up the doors to the farm instead of keeping them closed. Okay, now we open them. Now what next? I mean, I think one of the greatest joys that I have is watching families come out. I think, you don't have to go very far out to go to eat, and you look around a table where people are staring at their phones, and I fell victim of that too.
Certainly.
You're there, but you're not there. So how can we create something where families can actually physically be there and enjoy that time together? So there's that strengthening that family bond. That's something we always want to try to implement. Anything we add to the farm, we go back to this mission statement. Okay, well, how does this attraction, or how does this whatever we're growing fit this? And then and we've already talked about it too. One of the greatest joys that we have is watching these elementary school kids come out and learn about agriculture. And the next time they go in the grocery store and pick up that gallon of milk, they'll look at their mom and know, wait a minute, this just wasn't poured in the back right here. This came from a farm somewhere in this country. So those are just things that, really mean a lot to us. And, a few years ago we did put them on paper, and that became the mission statement.
Well, it's obvious. Sometimes mission statements become something you have one because you're supposed to have one. But when you find a company or an organization that has a mission statement that they live and breathe, I think that usually correlates with success. So, kudos to you guys on that. So, part of what you mentioned there too was being a steward and how the farm gives you the opportunity to give back to the community. Well, tell us a little bit, about y'all's community involvement, some of the ways that maybe you use the farm to give back to the community, and ways in which giving back to the community has given back to the business.
Yeah, I mean, I think, we have been blessed with a lot. So how can we give back, right? So there's so many wonderful organizations, whether it be nonprofit in this community, that that they'll reach out to us from time to time, and we can't do them all, but we love to help where we can. We do have a heart for the special needs community. We've done a lot through Our World at Hope Park, and they do a great job over there. This year in particular, we're hosting Taste of Henry out on the farm this year. We're doing some other, Gigi's House is one. They're doing one. I mean, there's all kinds of different wonderful nonprofits that we do love to help out here in the community. So
absolutely. Well, and one you touched on there, to kind of, for our listeners that have joined in on multiple episodes, they may recall that we spoke with a friend's house a few episodes ago, and of course, Taste of Henry benefits a friend's house, and so again, full circle, you've got organizations within the community helping one another out, it's the old cliche, the rising tide lifts all ships.
That's right.
So that's awesome. And if you've got an organization or a event, I think you guys are open for, like, if a family want to do a family reunion or those kind of things, y'all offer rental opportunities of some of your facilities for those type of events, right?
Yeah, from time to time we do that. Absolutely.
And there's information on how to reach out on y'all's website about that. Yeah. So, well, kind of pivoting off of the community involvement, those of us that have followed you and followed Southern Belle Farm are somewhat familiar with your involvement in advocating for the agriculture industry, particularly in Georgia. I'm assuming some of that's been probably national advocacy as well. So talk a little bit about your efforts there, and what you're doing, what the purpose of it is, and kind of what's going on with that stuff.
Yeah, so I mean, anytime some ag policy comes up, whether it be with our local delegation, the Georgia General Assembly, or with Congress, I mean, we do lobby, for or against legislation that might affect farmers, in particular family farms. Farmers sometimes get a bad rap. A lot of big farms, particular. Let's just use South Georgia for instance. I mean, you may have a farm that's several thousand acres, and they get mislabeled as a corporate farm, but I can guarantee you that behind every one of those farm names is a farm family. And these policies affect those families. So anytime something like that comes up, we certainly like to advocate on behalf of the farmers where we can.
And again, piggybacking off of, we've had prior guests in their respective industries who have really taken active roles in advocacy for their industries. So often it's easy to get caught in that trap of, well, I'm competing with these other folks, but really, doing what's best for your industry, it helps everyone involved and just makes it healthier.
That's right. I mean, even just last year, the Right to Farm bill came up, which basically protects farmers to continue to farm. I mean, I know that sounds simple, but you may have a piece of land you're farming. Neighbors move in; they don't like noise or the smell or the whatever goes along with farming. So, having strong ag policy is always a good thing for our country.
Yeah, certainly. So, as a business owner, an operator, how do you balance working at the farm and spending your time, I think in some cases, traveling to advocate for the agriculture industry?
Yeah, I mean, I think, I personally get a lot of credit for what goes on at the farm, but I'm here to tell you that I'm the miner in the deal. We have a great team, a great crew. I couldn't do it without, the team that we have at the farm, running the day-to-day stuff. I mean, it's just a wonderful, wonderful group of team and family that help pick up pieces where they need to be picked up, which does give us time to get away and do things that also mean a lot to us.
Certainly. Well, kind of backtracking, to the 2006 and when y'all decided to turn to agritourism, what are the challenges that y'all faced in, over these last 15 years?
Yeah, I mean, I think when I hear you ask the question, one of the things that comes up was the thing that always sticks out in my mind is having parents that I've had, in particular, both my mom and dad, but to have my dad bet the farm on me, on an idea, So I think, early on the challenge was, how are we going to pay for this? Here we are taking this, risk here, but literally betting the entire farm on an idea. So I think that, looking back on that, I was 24 years old and no one could tell me no at the time. It was, and that comes back to, going back to a childhood and watching, my parents just salt to the earth people, just some of the hardest working individuals I've ever known. But it wasn't what, along the way, it wasn't what they told me, as how I watched. I watched and just saw. Being a farmer, I like to tell people a lot of times, it's not a 9 to 5 job. It's a lot of time a 5 to 9 job, or when the job gets done. So I think you asked the question, what was some of the challenges? And I think a lot of the challenges were, trying to take on just doing it, ourselves. Thankfully, I got a wonderful wife, Jennifer, who's stuck by me through the whole time and didn't see me a lot, especially in those early days. There was a lot going on, and I'm just thankful for her for sticking with me. A lot of women wouldn't have done that. But yeah, I mean, just how's the pressure of early on of, this has got to work. There's no other choice. I like to tell the story a lot of times that my granddad, who's not around, but if he were, he would be scratching his head wanting to know why people paid money to walk through a cornfield. It's like, why are y'all doing this?
Well, it's back to that experience.
Right, exactly.
And you make a good point about the hours, especially early on. I think that's something that is a common thread that we see through, entrepreneurs, is that it takes a lot to establish it. It takes a lot. And there are sacrifices with that, and it takes everybody being on board.
Yeah.
Because to your point, it wasn't just you sacrificing. It was Jennifer sacrificing.
That's
too,
right. Absolutely. Absolutely.
And, that's a very, very common background that we see in the stories that folks share with us is it takes the whole family.
That's right.
Everybody may not be, swinging the pickaxe.
That's right.
But somebody else in there while you're out there doing that.
That's right.
So yeah, that's a big, huge, massive piece of it. And to know that you've got that support to go do it.
That's right.
Is man, that's a blessing.
That's exactly
that's
right.
a blessing.
Absolutely.
So,
you got it.
Thinking about it, and this could be strictly from an agriculture perspective, or it could just be from a business perspective, generally speaking. What would be the thing that if you could go back, if this had been in place or that had been in place, would have really, avoided some pitfalls along the way, or sped things up a little bit? I mean, is there anything that you look back and say, if I knew this or if I had access to that, would have really made a difference? And kind of where I'm going with that, Jake, is the thought of folks who may be listening who are thinking about starting up a business, and they're thinking, all right, what do I need in place? Is there something that's going to help me hedge my bets a little bit, or is there something that's going to help me succeed?
Yeah, I mean, I think early on, there was so many unknowns, because it wasn't like we were opening up a coffee shop or a sandwich shop or something that, maybe you could look to,
right up the street, yeah,
right, and see, okay, well, there's a market for this. Mm-hmm. This was strictly an idea that we hoped would work. Yeah, there were other people around the country that were, doing it. We felt like it would, obviously without that network of other people in the industry, which we do tap into around the state and nation,
mm-hmm.
which are some of our closest friends, because we can, talk about, maybe this worked, maybe this didn't. I think probably would have helped me early on making those connections early, whereas we went into it, just hoping we were doing the right thing. Will this work? Will this not? But, really tapping into those resources at an early on stage. We just, this is how it's going to be. We're going to do it. Let's do it and hope it works. Those are the things.
Yeah. Well, no, that's a great point. And it makes me think about, in my profession, folks that do not work within our company, but work within our industry, that I've been able to call and say, hey, what do you think about this? How would you handle that? And how much difference that's made. Again, that goes back to, why do you advocate for your industry? Well, when you're out there fighting for them, you call them up when you need something, they're going to help you.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I think that's great is to know the folks that do what you do or do something similar to you, and build those relationships and help one another succeed. I think that's great advice. Bringing it back to the farm and things that are going on today, what are some exciting things that are maybe on the calendar, or new stuff that's coming down the pipe, or what folks can come do to visit y'all and see y'all? What opportunities do they have?
So, I mean, I think right now, I mean, what's on the horizon? I think we're through our busy spring and summer season, and there's sort of a lull going into our fall season, and so we're full steam ahead now, prepping for this is our 16th fall season, which is hard to believe we're preparing for, but we're adding a few new attractions to the mix this year to have new for this year, and we're always trying to add things new as we go throughout the years, but. A lot of people don't know this, but we're also preparing for 2022 strawberry season. We have to plant in the fall. We plant in October, so we're preparing ground now and getting the ground ready to start laying some plastic to plant next year's crop. So all this sort of fall is a busy time of year for us. Getting all. I mean, everything kind of happens at once in September and October.
Gotcha. So, Jake, something that I know that our family has enjoyed on a number of occasions is we've swung by and picked up some cakes and ice cream for our family get-togethers. Tell folks a little bit about what y'all got going on and what's available there.
Yeah, I think one of the, and I've talked about her earlier in this podcast, but my mom, Kathy Carter, who's known around the farm as Mimi, heads up our bakery and has some really good treats. That's why I weigh about 20 pounds more than I probably should. But she's got just homemade recipes that she's brought out and just really passionate about what she does. And really, literally the hardest working individual I've ever known in my life. Learned a lot of lessons, life lessons from her. And she's continuously baking out those homemade pound cakes. And we have peach shortcake right now. Of course, strawberry shortcake ended when strawberry season ends, but we try to have the fresh fruit that we grow there on the farm to put on those shortcakes and the homemade ice cream. That's something that she does a really good job with too. So we've got the sweets going all the time, and that's nothing new. When I was growing up, we didn't have mentioned the Sunday dinners earlier. It always ended with a dessert. My wife likes to laugh at me that every time I get through eating, I start scratching my sweet tooth and have to have something sweet to eat, and that's
what you were taught.
I was taught that just like the farming end of it, I have to have something sweet. But anyway, that's her, and she does a terrific, wonderful job.
Well, I can vouch firsthand for Miss Kathy's cakes because we have enjoyed those at a number of family dinners. We're lucky to all of our close family lives within a very short proximity of the farm, and so whenever we get together for a birthday or Mother's Day or something like that, there's usually one of Miss Kathy's cakes.
There you go.
To in the meal. So we always enjoy that. So folks, whether you've got youth group you want to come out and visit, or just you and your family want to go visit, I can't encourage you enough to pay a visit to the good folks at Southern Belle Farm. Jake and his family and their team, they have been a treasure to consider them neighbors in the community. And it's really amazing what they're doing here in Henry County. Jake, do you have any idea how far y'all pull visitors from?
Not real sure. I know this year we ran into a couple. There was actually two couples that came to the patch this year, and we always ask people where they're from, and they said Michigan. Oh yeah, really? They got up that morning, hopped on a plane, came down, picked strawberries, rented a car, came down, picked strawberries. Took the rental car back to the airport, went back and got a shortcake, went back to Michigan. Like that was their sole purpose.
They did a day trip to come see you guys from Michigan.
Yeah.
How about that?
Yeah, we're blown away by, the response that people have given us. I mean, we just feel really blessed, undeservingly so a lot of times. But they come out from a long ways away. I mean, Atlanta's, of course, our target market. With social media and all these days, I mean, people are out there taking pictures of themselves, and like we talked about, I mean, nothing goes undocumented these days, so they bring their families out, and right, I mean, they're posting pictures of their cute kids with their outfits on, and it goes right up on their social media, and that's really how I think folks are finding out about it.
Yeah, wow, that's and that's a testament, to the job that you guys do, that folks would find out about you from Michigan and make a day trip to come down and pick strawberries and get some cake. I mean, that is awesome. And, I would say to anybody listening, if you have not visited, if that doesn't convince you, I don't know what will. So, Jake, we mentioned the website. Again, that's www.southernbellefarm.com. Don't forget that Belle is Belle. They can find you guys on all the social medias, I'm assuming.
That's right.
Including some YouTube. I think y'all have got some pretty good videos.
Okay.
Especially some of the flyovers of the corn maze.
Yeah.
So, YouTube, Facebook is where I usually see you guys. And you guys, of course, are on Twitter, Instagram, all that good stuff. info@southernbellefarm.com is their email address. And they've got contact submission forms on their website and all that kind of good stuff. So I encourage you folks to pay them a visit and check out what they have. And again, I can't comment enough on how enjoyable of a read the history of the farm is on the website. That's if you don't feel good after reading that, something's not right.
Yeah.
So that's it's a heck of a story. But Jake, man, we really appreciate you coming out today, spending some time with us, sharing your story. We hope that this is good for you. We hope that you guys certainly continue to succeed, continue to be a really proud spot for Henry County, because we're definitely proud to say, yeah, we're where Southern Belle Farm is.
Well, I appreciate it. I appreciate the opportunity today, and appreciate what y'all do for the community. I mean, it's partnerships like we have with Strawn and Company that really makes the world go around, and we appreciate what y'all do.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, Jake, thanks so much. We appreciate it. Folks, thanks for listening. Please, like the podcast, follow us. We appreciate any of the subscriptions. If you've got ideas of folks you'd like to hear as guests, or if you'd like to have your organization or business featured, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. But we thank you so much for listening and hope you make it a great day.